Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 654. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Corey Fonsod
Ahoy!
and Tony Korkanakis,
Yo.
and maybe Mike on chat on Twitch.
Rich.
That's right, because we're live on Twitch. It's Wednesday night tonight. Fooled you, but
Mhm.
we're usually on Tuesday nights, starting at 8 o'clock. So please join us live on Tuesday nights. This was obviously a holiday. Sometimes with holidays, when they fall on that day, we were all doing stuff, so it was impossible to podcast. But if you subscribe to the Twitch channel or the YouTube channel, you will get notified as soon as we post our content, and then or when we go live. So why not do it? That's what I'm saying.
Do it. Do it.
I don't
Do
see a negative.
Just do it.
Yeah, I don't see the negative here. I don't see the
Just do
negative.
it.
So we're not annoying either. We don't just post a billion videos a day.
No. No.
So
Not at all.
yeah, we're nice guys. Most of us.
Nice guys.
Yeah, nice guys. Yeah. So welcome to the Gamecast, folks. It's been it's just one game for me this week. Corey, have you been playing anything? Like, I don't want to go. I want to go to Zelda a little bit. Corey, have you been playing anything like
Diablo.
Mostly Diablo.
nice? I want to hear that.
Diablo.
Like, yeah. So Nick's been trying to recruit me on that like crazy. I know.
Of course, we talked about it last week.
I know. So it's how are you at your end game loop is great.
I mean, Endgame, it's like almost the meat. Like as soon as like the entire game, the campaign is maybe 10 hours of that, so it's not like super long. And then it's just all Endgame stuff afterwards, and then it's just trying to
the loop.
get further.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the loop. But more than that, it's the social aspect of the game. That's where I think you have the most fun with it. But like tinkering and like being able to switch up your builds and stuff is a lot of fun, and you can spend like hours just messing with that. But I did start a hardcore character because I wanted to try something a little different, and so named Hudson, obviously, because game over, man. You know it's gonna happen.
Oh, so,
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how, because you play it so differently. It's not like reckless abandon. You're just like creeping in every little room. It's like, anybody in there?
Yeah. Anybody?
Okay.
Knock knock. Who's here?
Yep. So that's been interesting, and there's been a couple times where I was like, I wasn't really paying attention. It's like, oh shoot, and so it's like you don't want to play a hardcore character if you're not like solely focused, because it's pretty interesting to see some of these people's deaths that are just like super stupid. Like, yeah, but yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and basically that's the only thing that's really been
yeah. Sorry,
the main loop here.
trying to troubleshoot Mike while we're doing this on his Twitch feed. So we have a feed. We're live. I can see it. We're good. But that's cool. That's cool. I've played. I was on vacation and I finally started to ignore work emails and just actually take a vacation. So I really dove a lot into Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and I think when I last spoke, I was on the water temple. I think I was still there. I was lining up there. I had the Master Sword. That's right. I had gotten the Master Sword last week. Just gotten it before the podcast. And man, I'm now. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil that part. I'm in a step that I didn't think I was gonna take. Like there's another step I have to go through. That's the best way to say it. I'm on that, and so in the game, there is this place called the Depths. I did not spend any time down there whatsoever at all until now, where I'm trying to figure out what I have to do to.
That's crazy. You just completely ignored it.
Yeah, no, I had nothing down there really. I had just what was required when you. There was one.
First, yeah.
But like the camera for my
Yeah.
the camera,
Yeah. That's what you gotta do.
I don't have that. No, I don't have that. I don't have it. So I have to go back and get that. I just got that mission. So I was down in the depths already once before, where I went through and did the fire temple. That's what it was. The fire temple's down there. So that's the only time I was in the depths. I was never down there before that. And so I spent the last like 4 hours today in the depths, going through that place, not realizing that I didn't. So I went back to the fire temple to try to get to the mission for the camera, not knowing that I could act. Yeah, I know. So I finally this afternoon, like I wasn't playing at that point. I'm like, wait, where am I supposed to go to start this mission? Then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh god, okay. So now I know where I'm supposed to go. But I just spent like 4 hours in the depths. Like I have no more arrows. I'm out of everything. I spent like everything trying to explore that place. And yeah, I don't like that place. I don't like it at all.
Scary.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like it down there. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not afraid of anything with the Master Sword. I'm
Well, it
pretty.
sounds like you can ignore portions of the.
I Oh, Churro's on this. Hey, welcome, Churro. By the way. Um, Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read what Churro wrote while I'm doing this.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I unfortunately decided to keep weapons from an encounter that I thought were incredible. I was like, holy crap, these are really strong. So I fused them together with things, not reading what they do to you when you swing them. So I have gloom weapons that I'm getting hurt every time I swing them. They're awesome damage though, so I just take it. And
Yeah,
I had
whatever.
to.
Yeah, you
I'm
get
out.
it. You
I'm
get
out
it
of.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm out of food though that needs to fix that, so I have to go back and cook a lot. I have to do a
Well,
lot of
you just go to the underground shrines and it'll
the
heal you.
shrines will do it. Yeah, the shrines will do it there, but there's also food that does it too. So I have to like, I have a whole bunch of ingredients. I have upgraded some armor. Um, yeah, churro. That's it. Depths are only scary when you don't have arrows. How about I've been throwing? I ran out of arrows 2 hours into it, and I spent another 2 hours in the depths. So I was throwing the bulbs and swiping them with my sword to light them up. That's what I was doing, because I was just like,
If you just
I don't
throw
have
them, you
more
don't
arrows.
need to swipe at them.
No, they wouldn't pop. When I threw them, they just rolled. So I just decided to hit them with my sword.
If you hold
Maybe I was
up,
oh
uh,
maybe I didn't. Maybe I just dropped them.
you probably
Maybe
are
it was,
just dropping them.
yeah.
If
So
you
I should
hold up and then
yeah
press R, I think that's how you throw it.
yeah um yeah. So I didn't realize it. And the one rune place, the ring rune,
Hmm.
ring. Yeah, I was there and I ignored that place too until just now. So yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah.
It's like a third of the game.
I know. I know. I have a lot of work to do to go back and get all this stuff. But I'm powerful. I have a lot of hearts. I have a lot of stamina. I've got the good weapons. I've got upgraded armor.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm not really afraid of things I run into in the depths. Just more about falling where I can't see. That's about
Mhm.
it. So it's just the game is fantastic. I just I absolutely love the direction they brought this game. I like how there's more to it than what I was presented with, which is good. I wanted some more depth, and
Even though you ignored it.
even though I ignored it, but
Piss.
yeah, so, but yeah, that was I was making a joke too, so I'm enjoying it. But that's all I played this week because I was trying to finish it before the podcast, and then I realized like, oh shit, there's a lot left.
Hmm.
So I'm 55 plus hours into the game now, so I'm pretty. I played a lot last week.
Good.
Yeah,
Nice.
explored quite a bit. Just the fairies to unlock the armor. That was a long set of like that's a long. And then I'm like, and I'm broke, so I'm like, I don't want to sell my gems, but I'm like, I have to sell a couple things to to get some money for this, to upgrade the armor. But that was a long set of quests just to do the
Hmm.
armor upgrades.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, Tony, anything? What have you been playing?
Just more Final Fantasy. I'm approaching Endgame, I believe. The PS5 is
Okay.
telling me it's 75% ish or whatever like that. So,
How many
Mm.
hours?
uh, almost 30. Almost 30. If I
Okay.
round up, it's 30.
It's good. Like
Just critical path though.
No, I've been doing side quests too. Not all of them.
Okay.
But the side
it's-
quests are so fucking garbage, dude. Like, so garbage. I forget if it
Yeah.
happened before the podcast last week,
you,
but I
you were
had.
mentioning it a little
Oh,
bit.
I had a quest that was literally two NPCs were sitting on a bench, and they're like, "Oh, we can't even move. We're so hungry and thirsty." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go get you some food and drink." You just literally go down the hallway, talk to
Mhm.
the bartender girl, and she's like, "Hey, here's some food and drink." You bring it back to them, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. You're the best."
And they
I'm
give you
just like,
experience.
"Yeah,
Well, is there any? Yeah, there's experience. Yeah. I mean, this is an action game now. I don't know. I'm not as hyped as I was before this. So I
It's
want to play it. Don't get
interesting
me
because,
wrong.
like, yeah, it's. I don't think it's. Sounds to me like it should not be a Final Fantasy
I'm
numbered game. That's what it sounds like. Because, like, at the same time, people are loving the game,
yeah," and that's great if people are
and
loving it.
people.
Like despite all my criticism, it's not a bad game. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad game. It's just in my head, it was like, okay, we're gonna take the core essence of Final Fantasy, and it's just gonna be presented in an action based,
Mhm.
hack and slash type game like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta,
Right.
et cetera, which I love those games. I talk about those over the years, every couple of years, when they come out. But it feels like they leaned it was like kind of like it was kind of mid on both ends, right? So like the RPG aspect, there's like armor. You can equip like a weapon. You can equip a bracelet, and I think a chest piece or something like that, and then 3 accessories. But for the most part, 99% of the gear is it's just numbers for attack and stagger damage. There's no elemental thing. There's only a few accessories. Like the accessories are either like just straight up attack or defense up, or reducing cooldowns for your abilities or increasing their damage.
It's very basic.
It's super basic. Yeah. So I'm just like, what are you guys doing here? Like I just and the loot is just so bad. Like you beat a quest or like you see items in the overworld, and I don't even get excited anymore. I just walk by, let it auto pick up, and it's just some item that's used for crafting, but the crafting is just so meaningless. Like it's just I don't even care. And I have so much gil now that I don't even know what the point of gil is in this game, honestly. It's like I haven't missed anything, so but like I can
doing
buy
the missions gives you enough upgrades. You don't need to buy anything. Is that what that is?
Yeah. Oh. I mean that's I don't know. It's weird, and but the thing is too, like I feel like doing the side quests it over levels me, so I'm like kind of not doing all of them. I'm only doing them when I feel like it. And the game isn't hard at all. Like I posted a video on my personal YouTube channel of this one like boss fight. I got touched like once or something like that, and I'm just like, okay, like. You know, I'm good at games, but like, it's just so pathetic. I was just like, oh, I didn't even need to use a single potion this entire encounter and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's just, I feel like they compromised on both ends for the RPG aspect and the action aspect. And just for me personally, I'm just like, I wish you had just gone full throttle on one or the other, right? Like, just
pick a lane.
Right,
pick a lane.
Right. Like if it was like. Because Platinum helped them with this game. Platinum Games helped them, and you can see it in the icon battles, which is, I will say, that is the star of the show here. Those icon battles are like Bayonetta. It's like Devil May Cry, like so hype. It's so hype. It's awesome. But everything else around it is just like meandering. I'm just like, what are we doing here? And
maybe Game of Thrones vibes.
In the worst ways, though, dude. In the worst ways. Like, there's a character that is supposed to be, I'm assuming. What's her name? The queen bitch, Cersei.
Cersei.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be a direct like analogy for.
Yeah, it's like I saw a comparison video of like Game of Thrones and Final Fantasy and the mom or whatever.
Yeah, and like the main character, I mean, Clive is just fucking Jon Snow, really. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I get Game of Thrones is amazing, and I get it was a cultural phenomenon, but like, when you're just using it as a dressing. Like, it's like, oh, cool. Like, we're going to take this character, but apply, like, a Final Fantasy coat of paint on it. I'm just like, no. That is the exact worst thing you can do with this. Like, take the elements that people liked and then do your own spin off of it. Don't just rip off the characters and plot lines and stuff like that. I just think it's cheap and lazy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't want to harp on the game too badly. The action, the icon battles are amazing. I've done 3 more since last week, and they're all incredible. Like, I'm super happy. I'm super satisfied with those. They're epic. The music is awesome. The graphics, presentation is great. Those are awesome. And I still stand by. If they had just done with a lot of the fluff, a lot of the intentional padding. So I'll give 2 good examples of where I had to go, essentially be the new bad guy or whatever like that, the villain for the chapter or whatever you want to call it. And they just throttle you so bad. Like it's just like, okay, well before you can go there, it's like. We want you to do some bullshit side quests first. And it's like, why do I have to spend 15, 20 minutes doing this bullshit side quest to progress the story? Just let me progress the story naturally. But it's just, it's weird. It feels like, you're on a high. You're like, want to keep things going. And it's like, they just drop you down so low. I'm just like, oh, God. So the thing I want to say, and I might have said it last week, is just like this 30-hour, probably 40. What?
This is like a Game of Thrones. This is like the Song of Ice and Fire books.
Yeah.
This is exactly like them. Because when you're reading those books, you're like, "Holy shit, this chapter was amazing," and you're like, "I don't want to read about this character.
Yeah.
Why are you going to this character?"
Yeah, exactly.
This is it. Yeah.
So like, if they just reduced this to a 10 to 15-hour action game, cut out all the bullshit, like cut out because there's so much where just like you literally have to talk to so many NPCs. I'm just like, I get it. That's an aspect of RPGs, but like. When it's this boring, I don't care about the characters. It's really hard for me to care about that. So, like, I think if they just went full action, 10 to 15 hour experience, this could be like a 10 out of 10 game. But instead, it's a you know, I don't know,
So
I'm
it
feeling
should
like
just
an
been, I was
A.
gonna ask you if you felt should have gone RPG or should have gone action. Should have gone just action.
Yeah, action would have been easier. Like if they
I
just
mean,
wanted to go with that.
should it have been a Final Fantasy game then?
That's fine.
Should
I'm
I
fine
mean,
with
should
that.
have been something else. Should have been something else. Okay. I feel like traditional Final Fantasy games, you want the elemental stuff, you want
Hmm.
the slotted armor for better magic and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and it's just
We want
like
the
I want
RPG
that.
elements. That's
Yeah,
what
I want that in a
think
Final
of Final
Fantasy game.
Fantasy is.
Yeah.
Like
It's an RPG franchise.
maybe
Right.
this should have been a new game,
Yeah,
but then it wouldn't have sold well.
I mean,
So,
the thing is, like, I just think that, you know, when I think about the budget for this game, you could clearly tell, like, the icon battles, the summons fights, that's where all,
Oh, yeah,
like,
they
most of the
look
money
awesome.
went to and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I
Yeah.
just think, like, they should have, like, after that, it's like, okay, what do we want next? And the biggest thing, in my opinion, that would have helped was having each of the icon powers, which is the summons, they each have their own unique weapon, you know, so that when you're in combat, you can change these in the blink of an eye and have a different move set, right? Because right now you change to it and you get 2 cooldown abilities and like a ranged attack, right? But it's like if you just came up with completely new weapons, like Garuda's, you know, the first ones you get, you know, you could have like claw-based weapons or something like that, and then you could have Odin, and he could have been like a staff user or something like that, and that would have meaningfully changed up the gameplay. But it's just like sword, 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 and then every now and then you're going to use an ability like lightning or whatever, and it's like it just could be so much more. Especially come from like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, we have all these fucking weapons, and it's just like find what works for you, and it's just like that. That's where the depth.
I wonder if like the Devil May Cry Bayonetta fans kind of feel like this is lackluster, but like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I think.
but then like you have the Final Fantasy fans who are like, oh, this is not a Final Fantasy game. But then you have everyone else who's like, this is really cool. Like
Yep.
this is like my first Bayonetta or my first Final Fantasy.
And that's what
so
it is.
I think,
Yeah. I've been shit posting a little bit on Twitter, and even before the podcast today, some rando, because it was like people I wasn't following, was like, oh, you know, this is amazing. No other team, you know, besides the MMO team that brought us Final Fantasy 14 could do spectacular boss battles like this. And I was just like, okay, tell me you haven't played any Devil May Cry game, any Platinum's game ever.
Yeah.
And I even made a meme.
telling me you haven't played it.
Yeah, like it was that, I don't know if you guys have seen that meme where it's like the guy happy that he got third place. He's like, you know, biting the medal. He's like popping the
and then
champagne, and there's people looking at him like, yeah. So I was like, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Wonderful 101, Astral Chain, Nier Automata, Metal Gear Rising. It's like, these games have been around for fucking 20 years, dude. Don't tell me that, you know, Final Fantasy is the first one to do it, because you are fucking wrong if that's what you... But again, I don't want to hate on the game. It's good, but it could be great, and that's where personally
that's really what makes it the most disappointing, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Okay, guys. Let's see what we've got left in the news here. Well, we had the FTC Microsoft fight with the judge.
Revealed. I don't think that they wanted to.
I mean,
reveal.
Sony's redaction document was just a marker on a document, so a lot of stuff like Call of Duty's budget got leaked because of that, right? Like it was like, right? Wasn't that what
A
got
bunch
leaked?
of things got like revealed.
There's some crazy
I
stuff
don't know
leaked
if they
with that.
necessarily thought they were going to be revealing those things.
Yeah, I mean, they think they pulled the document down after that, so you can't even see
Oh, they
it
pulled
anymore,
all the documents down.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, the FTC met with a judge. The judge was pretty brutal to both. I would say though that the questions. I was reading some of the what do you call
transcript.
it? The court transcript. Thank you. I was reading some of that, and I'm just like, I don't even know the context of this, but I'm like, how did she get on this this question? Like, it was like each person was a trap question. Like, I was leading him down the road, you know. So like, I think the judge made at one point a comment about how if Microsoft and Sony had just worked together on getting a Call of Duty agreement together, would we be meeting right now?
Yeah.
So Mike just chimed in. Thank you, Mike. Horizon 2 and Last of Us 2 budgets were revealed as well, which were like 220 million and 200 million, I believe, each of those.
Yeah, something like that.
Last of Us, I think Last of Us and Horizon and God of War as well, I believe, Mike. That was on there as well. Sony's document was not well redacted, but yeah. So I mean, we don't really know the status of what's happening. I don't think the judge has ruled yet or anything like that.
Supposedly she was working over the holiday weekend, so probably
should have it this week.
Maybe not. I think she has until next week or something like that. But
I actually assume she's going to side with the FTC on this. But I think a lot of it was more of a demonstration. about how both arguments have been they're just not great. But I do believe at the end of the day, the judge, I think, also agrees that the acquisition of Activision to Microsoft doesn't help gamers, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah, because it's unfortunate. Because like, God, I wish I could. I wish I could talk to people from the FTC because like the way they portrayed it was just more so. It sounded to me like, oh, like Sony will get hurt by this,
Yes,
and it's like
that's not what this is about.
and that's not what this is about. This should be about like consumers, but also
Yes.
employees because now you're shrinking the market, right?
True.
Anytime you have a large acquisition like this, hundreds if not thousands of jobs are just eliminated. And it's not like those people are going to be able to go to another video game company. Like, there's only so many jobs for so many people and stuff like that. You know, so there's that angle. And I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't even think that came up in any of the case that, you know, this makes the market smaller for everybody.
I was shocked about the FTC's argument more with how bad it's hurting Sony. That was their biggest chief thing. And that, like, I know that, like I said before, this is more about, like you said, it's about consumers. And is it helpful to consumers for Microsoft to buy Activision? And I don't see how you answer that as yes. I don't see how you do that. And that's ultimately the point of this. That's the point of this. Not Sony's pockets, not Microsoft's. It's ultimately the consumer being protected from not getting, not helpful to people. So
and it's just ridiculous. I mean, we could talk about so much, but like, what was ridiculous to me was because they like had Bobby Kotick on, they had Satya Nadella on, stuff like that. He went on record saying, "I wish we could live in a world with no exclusivity, but Sony forces us to." And I'm just like, are you fucking serious right now? I was like, are you fucking serious? Microsoft, like, you guys are huge advocates for exclusivity. What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, Sony didn't start this shit. Started some of the whole like console exclusive stuff.
Yeah, it was like it's like you're talking about this whole shit. How about like, oh, Sony took Call of Duty? I'm like, 360 days. You had the Call of Duty exclusivity. Like, Xbox Live raised their price from $50 a year to $60 a year because of the Call of Duty exclusivity. Every consumer of theirs was impacted by that because they had to pay $10 extra a year.
Yeah.
So like, don't fucking tell me you've never done that. You have done that. Absolutely, 100%.
That's the other thing. We also have to see their battle plan. They almost bought Square at some point. They almost bought Sega.
They had a list of 100 video game companies with their acquisition, like what their benefits would be from buying, acquiring that group. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, I get it. Like, if you're a $1 trillion company, you probably gonna have a lot of those, right? But just seeing that disgusts me. It absolutely just makes me go, yeah, you're not in it for like. I get it. Every company's in it to make money, but it's like, you're just here to fucking absolutely maximize value here. You're not here because like anybody has a passion for gaming in Microsoft. It's just you want fucking money and you're scared that, Sony is going to lock you out of this.
Yeah.
And you also don't cultivate your own internal stuff.
Right,
you
exactly.
Just go out and buy it because it's easier to do that.
Because it's easier to do that, right? Yep. And that's the whole thing is they're like, this is an investment. I'm like, so you'd rather take $69 billion and invest it in a corporation that you don't own just for their IP, right? Because they're only going to keep a fraction of that talent, right? And they're not going to keep everybody, like I previously said. But you could take that money and build new studios. You could build up the existing studios you have. But no, you'd rather acquire because that's easier. Like, it just rubs me the wrong way. And it's just like...
Yeah. And it's the thing, like, with like Sony, at least, the things that they're exclusive games are coming from the companies and the studios that they've built up from the ground for the most part, or had built relationships with, like Insomniac, and then purchased them because of those relationships. So it's like, and
Microsoft had that opportunity. They had fucking Sunset Overdrive, and
exactly.
They could have done something.
They had the opportunities to do, those types of things with Halo and with Gears of War, where they created these studios to make these games, and then they just don't actually
doesn't come to fruition,
do anything with it.
Like that. But don't get me wrong, FTC, like, some of their arguments are so shitty. I'm like, dude, I could do this better than you can. Like, I could fucking talk to this better than you can right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more about them not knowing the source material. Like, they just more like, how am I gonna make this argument? And they don't know really what they're arguing against, but they know they have to make it.
They know they have to make it. And the funny thing is, there was at least once a day, every day, they had to, like, Nintendo got dragged into it on whether or not the Switch counted in, like, the console wars. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, like... Oh my god. It's a mess. It's just a fucking mess, dude.
Yep. I forgot to link that in the games thing. So we had also I think was it revealed in this that the Switch 2 is successor is coming? Was that done through this or was that through the same
No,
week?
I mean it was an interview where Bobby Kotick was talking
Yeah, it was
about.
Kotick. Yeah,
He's
how he
like,
messed up. He messed up going on
yeah,
Switch.
and
Yeah.
so he admitted that the reason not many Activision games, including Call of Duty, ever came to Switch was because he didn't think it would be successful, and apparently in 7 years you can't pivot your strategy. So
Right. I mean, after 2 years, you'd think,
Yeah.
hey, well, maybe we should
Yeah.
get in on some of this, but no.
No,
We missed it. We
Yeah.
missed it. Just keep looking up. Man, I wish we'd get in there. I
it's
wish.
like damn. I guess
Yeah.
we just gotta wait. And he's like, well, because then the judge grilled him on why that didn't happen. It's like, okay, and he's like, well, we'll probably be there for the Switch 2, either way.
Mm.
And that whole led into the whole like, oh well, I suspect it's going to be around the PS4, Xbox One specs and stuff like that. So it's like, but he was just speaking off the cuff. I don't think he has actual
I don't know.
details.
I don't think he knows.
I mean, that's
Nah.
pretty much everyone speculating that.
But yeah, I mean that just makes the most amount of sense based on physics.
What chips are out right now?
Yeah, and again, that's what I was. It wasn't like I was getting defense. It's just based on like how battery, based on chipsets, like you can only do so much. Like
I understood that.
Yeah.
My point. We were, for those not knowing, we were on Discord having a conversation. That I was just speaking my opinion that all I wanted dream wise. I would like something a little more powerful. That's all.
Yeah, I get it. But it's just crazy because like I look at my PS5 and I almost sent a picture. I was like, "This is the PS5. This is the Switch on top of it." It's just like so.
Yeah. No, I mean the Steam Deck is probably that strength. Xbox, PS4 probably. It's a little bit. I'm saying it's a little step above those two, but maybe it's not. I think it's about the same as those.
It's around that,
I think it's a great little piece of hardware, and so if Nintendo does something with that, and that's the newer chipset that they could have gone with, so it is available.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think there's a newer PC handheld thing that's coming that's even more powerful, but when you're talking about batteries, just
Matt Piscatella, who I follow on Twitter, formerly NPD but now Circana, he picked up the whatever it was, the
Ally or something it's called,
and he was like, "It's a nice piece of hardware, but God, everything else is awful about it." He's like, "Battery life is terrible. Like you got 1 hour of it." I think it's like what uses 1 hour? It's like as a handheld, it's like whatever.
You got to run to your next location to plug it in.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
it's a balance.
It is. So all right, I think is that all we have in the news? I think that's it. So there's
some Last of Us 3 leaks that came out.
I didn't see that. What was that?
Ellie's involved.
Leaker Daniel R.
Motion capture, I think they started.
Something like, well, that's going to be starting soon, but there's like apparently Ellie's going to have a similar like amount of screen time in this. It's not going to be about Ellie. It's really going to be more about new cast of characters, and you're going to have like a base that's like a Victorian house, and they're casting for these roles apparently. So, so that's interesting, I suppose. But we all know, again, like same with Switch 2, we know it's going to come at some point. It's just a matter of when and what kind of details we'll get.
It is interesting because apparently Nintendo is returning to Gamescom this year because they haven't been to Gamescom in a while. So it does leave me a little curious because, the Switch lineup for the rest of the year is fine. It's fine. But at the same time, like, what's the next big heavy hitter, as in like a 3D Mario or like, Metroid Prime or something like that? Or
how many years ago did Mario Odyssey come out?
2017, so 6 years.
Yeah. So that's I mean it's premier game on this, I'm sure. Yeah. So we'll see. That'd be interesting. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And
Trotron is saying that Switch 2 wouldn't necessarily be announced until mid 2024 potentially, maybe. So who knows?
Well, the other thing is this week.
I thought it would. Yeah, go on.
Oh, a Spanish gaming website, revealed that a Spanish developer has the Switch 2 dev kit right now. And there's not many Spanish developers to begin with, and the list, the list is small. And if you think about who would have it, the most logical sense is Mercury Stream, who did Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
So that is seemingly likely, I would assume. That makes sense.
Yeah. Mike, Nintendo Swatch incoming. Yes, Mike. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see when that gets announced. And it's gonna be interesting to see what they can do. Like the Zelda game is fantastic. I just wish it didn't have as much fog and it ran better frame rate, because I've had some frame rate issues where I actually have taken damage because the game kind of almost locks up on you when you're doing. For me, it did, and it's docked. So I do work.
Really?
Yeah. So I do. That's what part of my comment was. That was happening to me right then. I was like, okay.
Are you running on the original Switch?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wonder if that's maybe the issue, because I played it on the
OLED. Okay. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I just noticed a lot more frame rate drops than I expected. That's all. And the fog, the fog would be so great to not be in the game anymore. But that might also that's a load thing too. That may not be, that's not really hardware based. That's a speed of read, right? Speed of read and write.
Yeah. I mean, the next system I imagine has an SSD at this point, which helps immensely. You guys have seen that with the new generation of systems.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally night and day there. That's like the biggest thing you can do to help any hardware. Yeah. It's like, get an SSD.
Yeah. Replaceable M2.
Yep.
M2 SSDs.
Oh, did I forget if I don't think I mentioned on the podcast, my Xbox One black screen to death.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Like,
all I was doing is running emulators, right?
Not even that. I haven't been running that lately because they fucking killed it.
Oh, geez.
They killed it because the fucking hackers got way too ahead of themselves. They got drunk with power.
No.
And what they did was they created a 360 emulator. And literally that week, Microsoft just killed all of these apps. They're like, no, fuck it. Like, you're not doing that. You can steal from all these other companies, but you can't fucking steal from us. And they just ruined it. I was like, wow, that's fucking shitty. Because all these emulators had been working for years. Because it started on Xbox One.
Yeah.
And then just like the second they got the whiff of the 360 emulation, they're like, nah, fuck this. We're shutting it down. So that's fine, whatever. I'm using it for Game Pass. But the one day it wasn't connecting to Wi-Fi. I was like, all right. So I was just like, I'll just reboot it, through the hardware. I was just like, hold power, select, restart. And
never came back.
Well, it turns on, but it's not suddenly not making a connection to the TV. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I did all the IT testing. I switched out the HDMI cables. I tried a different HDMI port. I tried the known working HDMI cable from the Switch, and it just wasn't working. So I looked it up, and they're like, oh, you could hard reset it this way to do like a manufacturer reset and stuff like that. Yeah. That wasn't even working. So I was like, okay, well, haven't even had this a year. So I was like, yep, warranty, replacement, blah, blah, blah. So fuck you, Microsoft. Still making shitty-ass fucking hardware.
Yep. So I heard the PS5 Slim might be launching this year.
Yeah, it's looking like
that was being reported. So that might be that.
I mean, that thing is a beast. It doesn't need to be that big.
Oh God, it's so fucking big, dude.
I'll be waiting for that revision. So yeah, that's definite. So all right, that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Gamecast, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we are live Twitch Tuesday night starting at 8:00. Please join us live. YouTube the following day. Unlike today, which we're on going to be on Thursday, but it was a holiday. If a holiday falls on the podcast, we don't usually podcast too much on holidays, but we'll see. Sometimes we do. So if you subscribe, you get notified as soon as we go live. That's how you do that. Thanks for tuning in once again, folks. We will see you guys soon. See you next week. We're out.